Have you ever wondered if the scariest ghost stories are actually based on terrifying truths? Deep in the woods, there are legends that refuse to stay buried. What if the monster chasing you isn't a ghost at all, but something far more sinister? Brace yourself, because tonight we ride into the most famous American nightmare. Welcome to the chilling, unsolved mystery of the legend of Sleepy Hollow. In a spacious cove on the eastern shore of the Hudson River lies a quiet place. Ancient navigators called it the Tappan Zee, a place where sailors always prayed for protection. Nearby sits a bustling little market town, properly known as Greensburg. But the local housewives called it Tarry Town because their husbands lingered too long at the tavern. Just 2 miles from this village, nestled among high hills, hides a deeply sequestered valley. It is, without a doubt, one of the quietest, most isolated places in the whole world. A small brook glides through it, with just enough murmur to lull you into a deep sleep. But do not let the serene walnut trees and the singing birds deceive you. The people here walk in a continual, hypnotic reverie. They are bewitched. Even the night sky plays tricks, with meteors glaring brighter here than anywhere else. The locals believe ancient spirits hold their dark rituals in the deep, foggy woods. But the true nightmare of this hollow is a headless figure on horseback. They say he is the ghost of a ruthless Hessian trooper, a mercenary of war, a soldier whose head was violently torn away by a roaring cannonball in battle. Now he rides the night winds, desperately searching the darkness for his lost head. And if he catches you on the road, you might just lose yours. Into this cursed, drowsy valley came a strange, awkward man named Ichabod Crane. He was a schoolmaster from Connecticut, tall, exceedingly lank, and incredibly odd. With his giant ears, glassy green eyes, and a nose like a weathercock, he looked like a walking scarecrow. His feet were like shovels, and his clothes flapped wildly in the wind. He seemed as though the genius of famine had descended upon the earth. His schoolhouse was a rugged log cabin at the foot of a dark hill. The windows were patched with old paper, and the door was secured with a simple, twisted branch. To keep the thieves out, he leaned heavy wooden stakes against the shutters at night. Inside, the hum of his pupils sounded like a busy, trapped beehive. He ruled with a birch switch, but his discipline was remarkably strange. He punished the strong, tough Dutch boys, but let the weak ones go free. He believed a good beating was just doing his duty by their parents. But despite his thin frame, Ichabod had the terrifying appetite of a giant anaconda. Because his pay was meager, he lived out of a small cotton handkerchief. He survived by boarding at the homes of the farmers, eating their food and doing their chores. He rocked their babies to sleep, desperately trying to win favor with the mother. On Sundays, he acted as the town's singing master, dominating the church choir. His bizarre, quavering voice echoed across the pond,
Truly,
turning heads in the pews. He fancied himself a scholar, and the local women loved his endless town gossip. But Ichabod had a fatal flaw: a deep, paralyzing belief in the supernatural. He spent his nights reading Cotton Mather's History of New England Witchcraft. He would read until the terrifying darkness swallowed the room, making him jump at every shadow. Then came Katrina Van Tassel, the wealthiest, most beautiful girl in the village. She was a flirtatious heiress, and Ichabod's greedy eyes were immediately fixed upon her. He didn't just want her heart. He deeply coveted her father's massive, wealthy estate. But to get to her, he had to cross paths with a monster of a man. Enter Brom Bones, the arrogant, broad-shouldered hero of the country round. Brom rode a massive, vicious black horse named Daredevil and loved nothing more than a good fight. He was strong, intimidating, and he had already claimed Katrina as his own. Ichabod knew he couldn't beat Brom in a physical fight, so he slunk in the shadows. But Brom wasn't going to let the strange schoolmaster steal his prize without a terrifying prank. The tension reached its boiling point on a crisp autumn evening. Baltus Van Tassel hosted a massive, lavish party at his grand mansion. The farmers arrived in homespun coats, ready for a night of feasting and dancing. The tables groaned under mountains of sugary donuts, sweet cakes, and fried crullers. Ichabod ate like a starving madman, his eyes glowing with greedy delight. He even managed to dance with Katrina, much to the absolute fury of Brom Bones. Brom sat in the dark corner, intensely brooding, plotting his ultimate revenge. As the night grew incredibly dark, the dancing stopped, and the ghost stories began. The old men gathered around the dying fire, whispering tales of local horrors. They spoke of the haunted tree where Major Andre was captured and hanged. They spoke of the terrifying dark wooden bridge that crossed the black stream. But mostly they spoke of him, the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow. They said if you race him to the church bridge, he will vanish in a flash of fire. Ichabod listened, his heart pounding, his mind absorbing every terrifying detail. When the party ended, Ichabod was rejected by Katrina.
Searching for a
His
new
heart
head to
was
replace the one
completely
stolen by the
shattered.
cannon.
Alone, depressed and terrified, he mounted his broken-down horse, Gunpowder. It was the witching hour. The woods were pitch black, and the air was dead silent. Every shadow looked like a demon. Every rustling leaf sounded like a footstep. The giant skeletal trees seemed to reach out, trying to grab him from his saddle. Suddenly, a massive groan echoed through the woods. Ichabod froze in absolute terror. Was it just the wind? Or was something following him in the dark? Gunpowder stepped onto the hard dirt, his hooves echoing loudly in the silence. The path grew narrower, the woods grew thicker, and the panic set in. Without warning, Gunpowder plunged violently to the side, nearly throwing Ichabod off. There, standing in the impenetrable gloom, was a towering, black, misshapen figure. It sat on a massive black horse, completely silent, blocking the path ahead. Ichabod's blood ran cold. He tried to speak, but his voice completely failed him. He kicked his horse to hurry past, but the massive stranger instantly matched his pace. They rode side by side in terrifying, oppressive silence. The stranger refused to speak. Then, the moon broke through the clouds, illuminating the giant rider. Ichabod's jaw dropped in sheer, unadulterated horror. The rider had no head, and worse, his severed head was resting right there on the pommel of his saddle. Panic exploded. Ichabod screamed and rained desperate blows onto Gunpowder. The chase was on. Gunpowder dashed forward, but the demon horse leaped right behind him. Sparks flew from the rocks as the heavy hooves smashed into the dirt road. Ichabod stretched flat over his horse, his black coat flapping wildly in the hurricane wind. They plunged recklessly down a steep, treacherous hill, rushing blindly into the dark hollow. Up ahead, the haunted wooden bridge appeared, crossing the churning black waters. If he could just cross that bridge, the old ghost story said he would be safe, but disaster struck. The old, worn saddle girths violently snapped under the strain. The saddle slipped, hit the dirt, and was instantly trampled by the pursuing monster. Ichabod threw his arms around the horse's neck, clinging on bareback for dear life. I just need to reach the bridge, he thought, as the white church walls appeared. Gunpowder clattered onto the wooden planks.
Please, just keep running!
Ichabod looked back to see if the ghost vanished, but the Headless Horseman didn't vanish. He reared his massive horse up into the night sky. Standing high in the stirrups, the demon grabbed the severed head from his saddle. With terrifying supernatural force, he hurled the dark missile straight at Ichabod. It smashed into Ichabod's skull with a tremendous crash, exploding with sparks and pain. The schoolmaster tumbled headlong into the dust, swallowed by the darkness. The black steed and the headless rider roared past him like a demonic whirlwind. The next morning, the sun rose peacefully over the sleepy, quiet valley. The old horse Gunpowder was found standing calmly at the gate, missing his saddle. But Ichabod Crane was completely gone. He never showed up to the schoolhouse. The villagers searched the dirt road, finding deep, chaotic hoofprints near the bridge. They found the ruined, trampled saddle, lying violently discarded in the mud. On the bank of the deep black brook, they found Ichabod's small wool hat, and right beside it lay a completely shattered, smashed orange pumpkin. The town was baffled. What really happened to the awkward schoolmaster? Was he truly spirited away by the legendary Headless Horseman of the Hollow? Or did a jealous, strong man named Brom Bones play the ultimate, deadly prank? Brom would always burst into a hearty laugh whenever the shattered pumpkin was mentioned. But the old Dutch wives maintain to this day that Ichabod was taken by supernatural means. The schoolhouse fell into ruin,
on its own.
and the bridge remains a place of deep fear. The truth is lost to history, buried in the foggy woods of Sleepy Hollow. Some legends are born from tragedy, and some are engineered by pure human malice. Which do you believe? Was it a ghostly Hessian soldier, or a clever, jealous rival? The line between myth and reality is dangerously thin when you're alone in the dark. Don't look behind you. The horseman might still be searching for his head. If you enjoyed this terrifying descent into one of America's greatest legends, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. We uncover the darkest secrets, the creepiest folklore, and the scariest true stories. Turn on those notifications so you never miss a ride into the unknown. Who do you think threw that pumpkin? Let me know your theory in the comments below. Until next time, keep your eyes on the shadows and never ride alone through the hollow at midnight. Thanks for watching. Sleep tight.